so please bear with us. We do have we are battling some modern technology issues, but it's great to be live.
Welcome back,
So,
everybody. Had a little problem there. Everything should be fine to go now. And, well, let's have a look at the cars on track.
all right, and the car for tonight, Dom, I believe it's the Group 3 Corvette C7.
Yep. The torque monster. This car will make it up this hill with no problem at all, especially compared to the other cars we used to use here, the little 4-cylinder turbos.
Yep.
But
lots of power, lots of torque. I wonder what it will do for mileage on tires and fuel. It'll be very interesting to see what the strategies will be tonight, not only for the teams but individually for the drivers. Now, for those that don't know, the Mount Panorama circuit is 6.2. I'm not sure if that came across just before we had the technical issues, but we'll go back through it. So it's a 6.2 kilometer long street circuit, right? And it's actually a public road, believe it or not, when there are no races being held on it. So much like the infamous Le Mans track in France and the streets of Adelaide, another Australian track, this is actually public road that you could drive on in your normal car, and of course when they have races, well, things are blocked off and the guys go wheel to wheel. So 12 drivers, I believe, or is it 14 drivers tonight, Dominic?
so we should have 14. In typical TVT fashion, we'll just run through this again for all those who don't know. It's usually 7 versus 7 due to the lobby limitations in GT Sport, and 2 slots left behind for the streamer and the commentator. So in this TVT, we're looking at the 7 fastest of Team Barbados and the 7 fastest of Team CRC. The best of the best on this one.
Okay. So, could we run through the races for tonight? Let's tackle Team Barbados, our guests from across the pond. Right. And we have X11, man like Steve _246, the area code. Sylvester Alone 2. I wonder what happened to Sylvester Alone 1. Alright, and we have Try Hard, new kid who many of us will remember from our last race series, and Lati 246 also from our last race series. And I believe we are missing, no, that will be all 6.
Yeah, we're missing 1 driver who we're currently waiting on.
Oh, traffic in Barbados. Alright, moving on over to the CRC family. We have Young Nut, right? Also known as Peanut, but here he's a Young Nut, right? We have Yes Breads, we have Baigan, we have CRC Vaccine, we have CRC Zavoka, we have CRC Apex Kid, and someone we don't usually see in most CRC events because I am taking his place tonight, CRC Pineapple, also known as Bad Guy, otherwise known to you folks as Gavin, the man usually behind the scenes doing all these lovely voiceovers for the CRC competition. So glad to see Gavin back on track.
Always good to see him out there. He is,
yep.
I would consider, one of the aliens. He is insanely fast and his racecraft is just on a different level.
I could attest to that because when we first started this, when Gran Turismo Sport first came out, and we started to, pick up drivers from around the country to join nightly lobbies. We didn't know who this Bad Guy was, but we only knew the back of his car. That's all we really saw of him in most of the lobbies. Alright, and he dropped out for a while, but then realized that he took up racing mostly on the European side and a lot of events and stuff, and pushed his craft there. And yes, you're correct, he's labeled as one of the aliens. But it's very nice to see him back out. So it will be a battle of teams tonight. Dom, I believe you have the points of the first two races from yesterday. Where
Correct.
the teams stand?
Hold on. Let me just get the lobby stuff in order. Right. So, the point standings from yesterday. In the first race, Calypso Racing came out with 68 points after taking the top 4 spots and the fastest lap. And Team Barbados had 35 points in that race as well. The choice of the Bajans. We got 58 points and they got 45 points. The racing was much closer, and I have to give a shout out here to I Hate Tryhards, who the camera is currently on. He gave a really good fight yesterday, and honestly I didn't expect that level of pace just out of the blue. Like, that was crazy. So
yeah, I believe I was watching the Miata race in Tokyo, and a little bit again I would have thought that he would have drafted the paint off the back of your car. The close racing between the two years for the first half of that race.
really good stuff by him, and of course he's a very clean driver. I mean, the entire Barbados crew came out and they put up a really good race with us so far. So can't wait to see what happens now.
Yeah, and they are back with their traditional team livery. In fact, all their cars, the livery is almost the exact same from yesterday, from last night, and they basically copied it over to the Corvette. I would love to see how they transition this onto the car, the Toyota hybrid, for the next race tonight at Topless. I wonder if I have that right. So it will be very interesting to see how they will transfer that livery over. But then they're striking blue and gold. I don't think it's yellow. Blue and gold with their big trident on the side there. So Tryhard is actually having quite a lot of fun drifting around in his Corvette.
Yeah.
I wonder if he will try that for the race.
Okay, I'm gonna take 1 second here just to set the lobby. So now that I'm on stream, everyone is gonna get a little insight into
the world of racing online.
Yeah, the work that goes into just setting up one of these races.
Yeah, don't worry, and I completely understand, where you're coming from. A lot of people, those who know me, know that I do photography for quite a long time, both back Trinidad before we moved here to Texas, where I am currently. But I have actually shot a lot of events in Barbados. I've done the Rally Barbados event for 10 years. I've done their Top Gear Festival. I've done the Race of Champions event. I was fortunate enough to do the Top Gear Festival, I said, the Global Rally Cross event as well. So I've quite a number of friends in Barbados, and I'm very fond of the place. It's a very nice country, very good people, very nice people. Beaches, of course, are great. Hopefully I get to go back one day if this pandemic decides to give us all a little break. But we'll see how that works out. But yes.
So while we're waiting here, Jerry, we have a request.
We have a request?
If you could up your mic volume just a little bit.
I was gonna play a song. Somebody wanted a song. And then we take requests on this channel.
Right, so as we wait for the final Bajan driver to reach, let's just look through who's on track here. From the last stream, we've seen all of these drivers except for the one CRC driver that we haven't seen yet, CRC Pineapple, Garvin himself. So we can't wait to see what he'll do on track. He has always been fast, and I expect a big battle from him and I Hate Tryhards on the Bajan team. What a name that is.
A very interesting meme, considering what it represents.
Yeah. Oh, he's having a little slide there. I see he's having a lot of fun with that car.
As I was saying, he basically drifting the Corvette through the entire track. He was drifting the Corvette through the entire track. Not sure if he's gonna try that during the race.
Alright, so just in, we're gonna start with 6 drivers on each side. So let me start to organize that. Right, so as is the usual practice in our lobbies, we always do a stock check before each race to make sure. Usually there's some little network errors in GT Sport, and people get stuck on the starting line. So
yes, don't we know? And look at that fantastic lineup of blue and white and yellow.
And yellow.
Blue and white and yellow. Not sure what happened there. And they're off for the 1 lap stop check. Seems everybody has gotten away cleanly. No hiccups. Oh, New Kid has gone a complete how to put it, independent of the usual team library.
I wonder if that signifies probably a team captain livery.
I'm not sure if it's a team captain. Maybe he didn't have time to make the library adjustment. Because he was in it yesterday. So, but everybody seems to have gotten away cleanly and basically are feeling themselves out, feeling the track out. It'll be interesting to see the tire choice for the first stint. I'm sure many of drivers are playing their cards very close to their chest, because I'm pretty sure what they're running on now is not what they may want to choose for the opening stint of this race.
It's always some kind of mind game before the race starts.
As always. Well, we actually saw mind games play out in F1 today.
Oh, no, don't get me started.
We saw mind games play out in F1 today. And many a pundit all across the globe all have their various reasons of why and how and if and who. So, I prefer to stay neutral. I am not getting involved between the rift of Hamilton versus Verstappen.
Yep. That's especially on a public forum. You know what?
Everyone is
fine.
See,
you know?
Yeah, I was happy to see actually the 2 McLarens finish 1-2 after, you know, all their years of struggle. I was happy to see Danny back on the top step, and Lando put down a great drive. I saw he made a fantastic pass. So, you know, it's happy to see, you know, another team celebrate the wins. For this year. Last year we also had a lot of first-time winners, and it was, you know, it made for a good year. So it was nice to see. So the 1 lap stop check is complete.
Yep, everything looked good so far. So now it's just to start qualifying.
Yep. In this race, I believe everybody was technically the winner. Now, what will be the strategy for qualifying? It's a tight track, it's not very wide, and this is not a very skinny car, so it will make some very interesting placement. Where do you want to go out first? Do you want to wait for the field to thin out? Those on the out lap, those on a hot lap, it's going to be a very, very interesting couple minutes here for qualifying. And I will not put it down to maybe some luck, depending on where you are at the right time. Some people might try to steal a draft on the two straights to make up, especially that extremely long back straight. So we shall see how this all plays out. Good luck to all drivers.
So, as you're saying, especially on this track where the streets are so narrow, you really, really just want to get that clean air, maybe wait in the pits for everyone to kind of spread out across the track, and then just gun it. But you only get in maybe 2 laps, if so much, before your tires wear out.
If I am not mistaken, I believe CRC Vaccine is a man who usually gets out prompt when it comes to qualifying. And I do mean prompt.
And there he is. Second car out.
Second car out. I don't know how he does it, but every race series, he is always one of the first, if not the first car out of the pits for qualifying. I can tell you from my experience, I sat there and mashed gas and pressed button and not gone anywhere. But I don't know how Andrew CRC Vaccine does it. He just, always out. So, behind him we have CRC Apex Kid, followed by, I believe, X11, followed by CRC Bagan with CRC S Breads right behind, CRC Pineapple in 7th, and I Hate Tryhards is in 8th, followed by Man Like Steve, followed by Sylvester Alone 2. You really have to find out what happened to Sylvester Alone 1.
I really wonder. I must say I like that name though.
It is quite interesting. Lati is 11th, and the oldest man in the field, CRC Young Nuts, he is in 12th, choosing to actually wait for everyone to promptly leave and basically have the entire track for himself.
Smart play by him. Because
it is
on the downhill on this track where we see Lati now
actually
coming.
I see Sylvester Alone. Sylvester Alone actually ran off at the top of the hill. He's now rejoining the track. I don't know how that happened or why that happened, but he's on the move again.
So, well, let's go on board with one of the drivers. Man in first right now.
Yep.
New Kid.
New Kid has.
So a little note about this track as we watch him put down a hot lap. Most of the track in the first 2 sectors is completely uphill, right? So your braking distances will be a little shorter than you imagine. And it's always deceptive going into these corners because the car isn't actually going as fast as you'd usually think. So a lot of people tend to misjudge, especially going over these 2 left-handers over the top of the hill. The car gets light. The amount of understeer you get over the top there is ridiculous. So it catches a lot of people off guard, and then the snappy oversteer as you go into the downhill it's just so different. This track catches so many people off guard, and it always makes for an entertaining run.
That is very true. For the couple times, but the nightly lobbies that we have, it always provides one of the more entertaining races of the night, especially depending on the car that is chosen. They say sometimes you're not going fast enough. If you're not scared, you're not going fast enough. And I have basically scared myself a couple times on this track trying to chase a CRC vaccine or yourself or run from CRC Bygone or Yes Spreads. And an interesting note here, I saw something happen to CRC Youngnut where I'm not sure if he lost connection because the car ran straight off into a wall and he left the room. So I'm not sure if he has connectivity issues because I have not seen him restart the race.
We'll have to have a look into that. But in the meantime,
so we have maybe lost a driver for a temporary period. But in the meantime, CRC Vaccine is doing
what a lap! I mean,
lap.
2:01. That's insane. For some reference, the real life record in these types of cars is just around 2 minutes flat. So, you know, these guys they're putting in some crazy times here.
It is also quite interesting, Dominic, to note that the CRC train is running. There's a procession of CRC drivers, one behind the other, and there's also a procession of Bayesian drivers, one behind the other. So team tactics playing out in this early rounds of qualifying.
We see Tryhard there saying that it's not fair that the boards are knocked down. So
yes,
somebody must have had a moment.
I think that was when Peanut ran off. I saw when he came off, he knocked down a couple of the boards. I don't think it was actually deliberate because he still hasn't joined back the room. So I believe he knocked down the boards when his car basically would have been out of control because of the lack of connection.
We've seen New Kid going off track there. I believe he was just giving space for the other drivers as to not impede their hot lap.
A couple of drivers actually went pulled aside to let other drivers drive. I saw Zavaka doing the same thing earlier. So in this early rounds, we have CRC Vaccine leading qualifying with CRC Pineapple 3/10 in second. X11 is 2/10 behind Pineapple. Yes Breads is a 10th off of that. Bygone is 7/10 off of Yes Breads. Man Like Steve is 4/10 off. Oh no, hold on. Man Like Steve has just overtaken Bygone in qualifying, so pushes Bygone down to 6th. New Kid is right behind Bygone by almost a second. Lati is in 9th, Sylvester Alone 2 is in 10th, and I Hate Triad surprisingly is down in 11th with no time yet.
So we just got some news here. Young Nut had a power outage, so hopefully that gets resolved and we see him back here, because you know it's always a joke to see Christian racing. Ooh. Especially as young as he is. I mean as old as he is.
As old as he is.
Yeah. I mean he's made some insane progress as a driver in a short time.
I will very much agree with you. I remember when he first started to race with us, and within the space of the year for this COVID crisis, it went from having to lap him to almost being lapped by him. I remember picking on Young Nut many times in a race, to now I don't think I could even keep up with him. So it's very
X11 gets a little squirrely there.
It's very interesting to see his progress. I see CRC Zabaka is basically taking a timeout in the pits. I don't think he's made a hot lap as yet, so I'm not sure if he's just what he's waiting on. Maybe a gap in the traffic.
Possibly. Yeah, because most of the field is passing the pit lane right now.
It is.
The last thing you need to do is exit the pits and be in front of someone, because holding back another driver is a big no-no in qualifying.
See Andrew's pushing hard. And look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. I Hate Tryhards has just taken over pole position with a 2-minute .875. 3/10 faster than Vaccine.
And he's purple.
Well, we should see what will be happening here now. He's on to the last chicane.
Let's see if he'll improve.
Coming into the final corner. On the power. Giving it all he has. And to the line. Will he do it? No.
So we're coming to the end of quali here. As you would have seen in the chat, the new driver, GTI Run 2, has to sit out this one because of the connection issue, well, the power cut. So we'll be running 6 versus 6 instead of the usual 7 versus
7. Okay. Well, CRC Pineapple has moved into second place. 1/10 behind I Hate Tryhard. He's overtaken Vaccine for that second place. So it's I Hate Tryhards right now currently holding pole position. CRC Pineapple is in second. CRC Vaccine in third. X11 still holds on to fourth, but not by much.
Yeah, what
From
a gap.
CRC, yes, Breads, not much. That's 700th of a second. That's not even a blink. That's not even a blink.
We see X11 is still on a hot lap though, and he went purple in the first sector. So let's see what happens here.
And Apex Kid is not far off Yes Breads either. So it's still on to play for here. CRC Baigan has stopped on track. So I think, I'm not sure if he is basically giving it all or waiting for a gap to develop so he can make his run.
No, I think that would be it for him, because yeah, that's the end of
Qualifying.
Just 2 drivers are still on hot laps, X11 and Pineapple. So let's see what Pineapple can do. Hopefully he'll improve.
Well, he's down to the last corner, final corner, onto the straight, finish in sight.
Oh, almost. So close. Separated by 1.5 tenths.
Yep. So, Team Barbados has taken pole for tonight's first race. Third race of this 4-race series. So congrats to I Hate Tryhards.
I must say
On
that
pole.
that is a very, very good lap.
Well, this will surely play out itself to a very interesting race now. We seem to have a very interesting mix to the first half of the grid. So a lot of the Bayesian drivers, a couple of the Bayesian drivers have basically positioned themselves within the train that was the CRC drivers in the beginning. And on a narrow track such as this, it will be very interesting to see how this will all play out over the next, I believe, this race will be how long? 12, 14 laps, Dominic?
This race is 15 laps, so should be
15
just
laps.
about 30 minutes long.
Great. Any idea on when the pit window you believe will be, these guys will be looking at? Around
So,
what, the 8th, 9th, 10th?
I expect people to go in. Okay, so this one is a little tricky. One stop is possible and could be very fast, but you need draft. So those on a one stop would want to go in around the 8th lap, and everyone else would try to spread the tires out as evenly as possible. So 5-5-5, or you know, basically 2 pits every five laps throughout the race. Let's see.
So fuel should not be an issue. It's more of a tire race then, basically.
Well, yeah. You try to save as much fuel as possible, so you get that little gap as you exit the pit.
Well, this is where the draft will help tremendously with that consumption. I must say it's very intriguing to see the liveries for the Team Barbados with some corporate sponsors on their cars, no doubt. I'm seeing Flo, I've seen Chafette, which is not a bad restaurant, by the way. It's like the Bayesian version of what would I put it to? Not KFC, Pizza Boys maybe. Because you could buy, I believe they sell burgers, and you could even get roti, if you believe that.
Really?
Yes, they actually sell roti.
I've never had from there, but
I kid you not. You could buy roti in Chafette. I do. It basically a very wide menu, but mostly it's fast food. But it's like they're popular. What we will put at Trinidad as Royal Castle, they have Chafettes.
all right. Just setting the grid here. All drivers seem to be in, so
With the exception of New Kid, everyone. Oh no, hold on. And Sylvester alone, everyone is on softs. New Kid and Sylvester started on mediums. So maybe trying for the one stop.
I'll tell you what, those softs about 6 laps in get pretty sketchy. So I wonder what we'll see going down the hill.
And pretty sketchy in a Corvette is not what you would want on a track like this.
Right, so in the chat there, let's see. Post which team you're supporting. I'm not gonna. There's no bias here at all, so I'll keep my mouth shut on now on.
I wonder who you're picking, Charles. I wonder who you're picking. I'm torn between Barbados, a country I happen to very much enjoy going to for events, and Danny CRC Bygan banning me from nightly lobbies for not staying with my local folk. So I will be definitely Switzerland in this questionnaire, and I'm just all for the racing. I'm just all for the racing.
So let's have one last look while everyone takes a second to settle themselves. The
sweaty palms, butterflies in the stomach. I hope bathroom breaks, drinks on the side.
Tell you what, those pre-race nerves, they really get to you sometimes.
Oh yeah. I remember from the last event. I was buckets before those that Master Championship round that we did before. Oh my goodness, I was buckets. So I can imagine these guys, and it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned racer or you're still mid or new to the game, it's still the same for everyone. It's always nerves. These opening few minutes, waiting on the flag to drop. But as all racers, they will say, you know, once the visor comes down, it's a whole different story.
Yep.
Once the
As soon
visor
as you're
comes
in it,
down,
full focus.
that's very right.
Right, so we're
That's
about to
very
begin
right.
here. Alright,
Okay.
who you think is gonna come out to the first corner first?
A Corvette.
Nice.
I believe a Corvette is gonna come out first. I can't tell you who, and I don't want to make any predictions because this could be a bit tricky here. And looking at it's a very nice spread of red and yellow. For every 2 CRC cars, there's a Bayesian. Interesting.
Right.
So,
let's get ready
here we
for
go.
the start.
The first of tonight's races, CRC versus Team Barbados, and we're off.
Pineapple getting a really solid
Pineapple
launch
takes, yes, he takes the first into turn 1. Do we have any changes on the leaderboard? No, everybody basically is holding steady. So Pineapple leads from I Hate Tryhard, who leads from Vaccine, with X11 tucked in right behind, with Yes Breads tucked right behind him.
there. Wow. Pineapple
Apex
defending
Kid,
into
Bygone.
turn 2.
At the back, it's Man Like Steve, followed by New Kid, followed by Lati, CRC Zabaka, and Sylvester Alone 2, basically bringing up the rear. Up the hill we go.
Now, going over the top of this hill, they're gonna want to spread out a little bit because these Corvettes are so wide. You can't even see the apex coming out. So, everybody needs to take their time a bit, and hopefully it all goes well.
Well, it's usually first lap jitters. Sylvester Alone 2 has actually passed CRC Zabaka and is pulling away. So CRC Zabaka is basically bringing up the rear. In front of him would be 4 Bayesians. Sylvester Alone, Lati, New Kid, and Man Like Steve. All running 1 to 4. 8, 9, 10th, and 11th.
We see a little bit of team orders here. Lati and New Kid pushing each other along. Remember, in a TVT, you always want... It doesn't matter who finishes first. You just need to finish as high as possible with as many of your teammates as high as possible. Teamwork.
Well, I Hate Tryhard. I Hate Tryhard has overtaken CRC Pineapples for the lead and goes into lap 2 in first position. So a change at the top. Down that front straight they come. And CRC Pineapple is tucked in the draft. It's basically a train line down the road. Everybody is one behind the other.
We see Levin and Yes Breads having a good battle here. Possibly going too wide? No. Yes Breads gets in front. A little bump there by Levin though. Zabuka is now chasing down Lati over the top of the hill.
Yes, he and Sylvester Alone 2 having a bit of a scrap coming up the hill. And Zabuka managed to pick him off to the lack of a better word, and is now chasing the 2 Bayesians in front of him, Lati and New Kid. It will be interesting to see how this plays out on the very long back straight, and draft will surely be in play here.
He got a good exit. He might run up on Lati a little too soon to get the slingshot.
But Lati is also being pulled by New Kid. So it's draft upon draft.
Good
And they're
teamwork by those two.
surely making it difficult. And everybody holds line. Ooh, new kid almost went off there.
Oh, Zabuka almost had the gap there.
Almost.
Oh, and
Yeah,
he
he
got
picked up a
penalty.
penalty. Yeah, he picks up a 1 second penalty. Back at the front, it's basically status quo so far. Everybody is still tucked one behind the other in this opening few laps. 3 laps of this 15-lap race. So cards are still being held to chest. No one revealing yet what their plans are.
As we've seen in the first race, the MX5 race, Vaccine and Yesbreds make a really, really good team when they're drafting off of each other. So
yeah.
Right now they're just trying to close the gap, and Pineapple is hunting try hard.
Apex Kid has joined them, but he has X11 basically in his mirror. So it'll be interesting to see how those two work that out, but he's trying to join the top 4. So it's I Hit Try Hard, followed by CRC Pineapple with CRC Vaccine and CRC Yes Spreads. All 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't think they're even covered by so much as basically 2 seconds from first to fourth. 2 seconds back will be Apex Kid, with X11 just a half second, almost a second adrift. CRC Bygone is a second off of him, with Man Like Steve a half second off of him.
You might get the run.
I saw that coming.
Now going into this corner is always terrifying when a car is coming quicker than you behind, because there's no real way to dive on that corner. So
and X11 took this position from CRC Apex Kid. Under braking. Apex Kid trying to respond here.
No,
trying to respond here. But nope. So let's see what happens going down the front straights.
Back up front, we still have CRC, Vaccine, and Yes Reds pushing each other along. Pineapple still in pursuit of Tryhards. Now Tryhards has a 1.2 second lead, so he's slightly opening that gap.
Down on the other end of the field, Sylvester Alone 2 is, well, alone. He's dropped back. He's at 8 seconds, almost 9 from CRC's Zabuka in 11th. And interesting point here. Who was it? Larity hit the wall and lost some time. Zabuka was able to capitalize and took the place and is now in the hunt of New Kid. So Zabuka making a move here, getting in between the two Bajans, and hopefully will try to capitalize on New Kid and work his way back to the front. Not a usual position to see Zabuka down this far down the running order. But from someone who has raced New Kid in the last series, it will not be an easy task trying to pass New Kid. It's quite a fast driver.
One of the more experienced drivers here. He has a A+ driver rating, which is, it basically puts him in the top 5% in the world of drivers on this game. So
he's basically like you then. That's what you're trying to say.
No. I don't claim to be anything.
He's basically like you. That's what you're trying to say. Alright, so let's see. Will it be under braking? Will the move be made under braking? No.
A late defense there by New Kid, but everything seems to work out.
Is it possible to say that he's actually making that Corvette even wider?
Well, if it's anybody who could do it, it's him. It would
Bygone. Yeah, Bygone. I don't know how Bygone drives is one of the hardest people to pass. He makes his car extremely wide. Even if it's not a very wide car, it's one of the most difficult people to pass. And here we have Zabuka making the move. Drag race down the straight.
Lottie
Lottie
close
drafting.
behind.
Lottie's drafting him. It's gonna be who's on the brakes first. Oh, looks
sideways.
like Zavaka. Oh, the contact between them. Oh my
Wow,
goodness,
that could have
Lottie
been so
actually,
much worse. Wow.
Lottie took advantage of the misstep and jumped back in front of Zavaka.
Important to note
a
here,
sigh of relief.
New Kid is on mediums, so he's putting up a crazy fight here to hold off Zabuka, who's on the softs.
Very true. Will actually will be causing Zavaka to actually run out his softs because he's basically fighting I wouldn't say a losing battle, but he's struggling to pass a guy on what would be the inferior tire compared to him.
Let's have a look back in front. The gap is now 1.6 seconds between Tryhard and Pineapple, with Vaccine and Yes Breads right behind, 1.3 seconds, both of them still drafting. And Levin still trying to close the gap. Very slowly getting there though. 1.6 seconds behind.
So the front has basically spread itself out. It's basically a 10-second spread from first to seventh. Oh,
we see
and we
Levin
have man
go
like
into the pit.
Levin has dived to the pits. And man like Steve has also dived to the pits.
So we see a big fuel gap between Levin and man like Steve. So makes you wonder what is the strategy here? Are they trying to save fuel? And they've gone in on the end of lap 5, so they must be trying to stretch out.
Hold on, Laki has also joined them in the pits. He's also very much down on fuel.
Oh.
Which will give CRC Zavaka a break. Because that's one less car he would have to contend with.
And now he has to push as hard as possible while he's in clean air on the softs with low fuel.
And let's just hope he hasn't ruined his softs in all that fighting that he's been having with New Kid and Lati in these opening 6 laps.
So having a look in the chat there, Jonathan Baksh saying, Bygone downright annoying to pass. I think we all know that.
As the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, we all know how difficult it is to pass CRC Bygone. No one more so than Johnny, but we won't get into that here tonight.
Looking at the standings, it's CRC 2-6, with Zabuka close behind in 8th place, chasing down New Kid on those mediums. New Kid has a penalty though, and well, as the audience should know, every race that we do, there are designated burn zones. So when you get a penalty, you could burn the penalty safely without impeding anyone else's lap.
And he actually pulled up and allowed the penalty to burn, which allows Zavaka to overtake. And we have the top 5, 6, all in the pits.
We saw Pineapple go in with more fuel than Tryhards. That might give him an advantage coming out of the pit.
In fact, the entire CRC clip has more fuel than Tryhards. So it'll be very interesting. New Kid has also joined the pit. He's almost out of fuel. So it'll be very interesting to see how this will all play out now. And first out will be Pineapple, then Vaccine, then Yes Breads. Tryhard has lost 4 places. He's down to 4th. Apex Kid is also in 5th. Bygone is in 6th. X11 is in 7th. Man like Steve is in 8th. New Kid and Zavaka have also joined the pit to make their stops.
So exactly as we mentioned before, you want to save as much fuel as possible because, I mean, just look at that gap Pineapple opened with 10% more fuel. 5 seconds he left back Tryhards. And that's, I mean, just excellent by him to keep up with Tryhard on that fuel
and now he has a clear track all in front of him. No one to interfere. So it's hammered down now. Zavaka has also overtaken New Kid in the pit and has opened up a 9-second gap, almost 10-second gap to New Kid. who he was behind, trailing, coming into the pit.
Now we might see
Zabuka's
that gap
made up.
close a bit because Zabuka switched to the mediums, and New Kid is now on the softs as well. So
It'll be very interesting to see. Yes, so Zabuka's actually moved up, what, 3 places, because he was in the back fighting 11th and 12th. Now he's 9th. So
Yep.
he's basically leapfrogged New Kid Lati and Sylvester alone, 2. And is chasing down Man, who has a 10-second lead on him. It'll be interesting to see how this works out.
seeing a really good performance from Steve here, much improved over the last event we saw him in, the state-of-the-art shootout. He's doing so well now. Really good to see that kind of improvement in such a short time.
I'm pretty sure he was putting in the work after that first outing and realizing, I mean, we've all done it. I have been there myself. You know, you take part in these competitions and you get to realize, you know, the effort that it needs to get a good result.
Yep.
Those things motivate you to, you know, put the work in, spend the nights, spend the days, try and hone your craft. And it's great to see people, you know, drivers, you know, improve on their previous outing. I myself was quite surprised to be voted driver of the tournament for the master shootout. I mean, it did shock me. I didn't, if you ask me honestly, I thought Shaq was the one to get it, but I was very humbled by it to be voted driver of the tournament, which of course makes it added pressure to perform for the next tournament.
Well, now you have no choice but to do well, right?
Yes,
no
yes,
pressure.
it is. Shaq is my target, so Shaq, I'm coming for you.
Looking back here, Try Hard has closed the gap 2 seconds to Yes Bread and Vaccine. Pineapple has opened the gap though. Oh. Did he just leave the room?
He's missing. Yes, he did. He's gone.
Oh no, I hope it isn't a electrical problem on his end as well.
I wonder if his current went as well.
Oh.
What a time. What a time. That is horrible. Well.
And he had such a good lead too.
It now falls on CRC Vaccine and CRC Yes Breads to hold the fort and try to push.
Looking back here, X11 and Bygone are now in a battle. X11 so far has proven to be very, very quick, but also very aggressive. So let's see how Bygone could handle the pressure.
Let's see if X11 could pass CRC Bygone. Because if that happens, he surely will get driver of the tournament.
Now, audience, we are not overstating this in any way. Bygone is basically impossible to pass. I don't know how he does it, but his car does just take up the entire road.
And we are about to see it on full display because X11 is on his diffuser. Up the hill they come. And he's looking to the outside. Trying to make the cut back on the inside.
Oh, that was close.
Oh, he does it. Bygone has hit the wall. No, he hit the wall and X11 had a chance. Bygone comes back.
Little contact there.
Across. Little contact there. Causes X11 to take a few scrapes of the paint. And they're back at it.
Nothing held back between these two.
Bygone surely driving in the mirrors. Down the turns. Ooh.
Wow. That was scary.
I honestly thought X11 was going to spin out there. So a very interesting battle between these two here. And down the back straight, we for sure know that X11 will have that draft all to himself. Bygone doing all that he can, basically drives the extremely defensive middle of the road. Who will make it to the end? I believe he has it. X11 has done it. He's overtaken
Excellent
CRC
pass
Bygone
there. Yes,
into the
Breads and
chicane.
Vaccine have gone into the pits. We see Tryhard still out on the mediums. Is he gonna try to run the rest of the
Apex
race on
Kid
that?
is also in the pit. X11 has also joined them in the pit. Bygone has also joined them into the pit. So interesting strategy playing out here now. 5 laps to go in this race. Who's going to be on top? Zavaka has also joined the pit. Basically, almost the entire rest of the field is into the pit. No, hold on. New Kid stays out. Lati stays out.
Judging by their fuel, though, they will. Oh, New Kid might be able to make it if he really takes his time on that the throttle. He needs to save so much gas to make it to the end of this.
Well, it surely changes up the leaderboard now, because with New Kid and Lati and X11 in the mix, 4, 6, 5, 6, and 7, it pushes CRC Bygone back down to 8. Hold on, to 7th. He's just overtaken X11, who had some contact with the wall there. So this will be a very interesting run to the finish these last 5 laps. Sylvester Alone 2 is also into the pit. Just. You see CRC's Abaca down in 10th.
Just got some news there. So CRC Pineapple also lost current.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. TN Tech, help us out.
Well, once you don't lose current, Dom, that's just fine by me.
Well.
Because if you lose current, then we'll be all in a very big pickle.
Oh, Tryhard.
I hit Trident is in the pit. Yes, I hit Tryhard is in the pit. He'll be definitely changing from his mediums. Let's see what he puts on. I would like to predict he's probably going on softs. Can't see him going back to mediums. Not for these last 5 laps.
Oh, he hasn't changed tires.
It's a fuel stop. Ooh, interesting tactic here.
But we see, yes, Breads and Vaccine both on the
have already
softs.
passed him. And they've already passed him.
Nope.
No.
Came out
He
just
comes
in
out
front. So
Came
they
out
need
just
to
in
hunt
front.
him down in these last 4 laps.
Well, they are on the superior tire. He has more gas. All cards to play for here.
Have a look at Apex Kid out in no man's land. Same with
8
New
seconds
Kid.
one way and 4 seconds one way.
Yep.
Guess he's probably turning up the music. Adjust the AC. In for a Sunday drive. New Kid is also in a technical no man's land. 4 seconds behind one way, 4 seconds in front the other. Still CRC Bygone in 6th. CRC Bygone has X11 back 1.5 seconds behind, so he's probably gonna see him in the mirrors. So their battle isn't over yet. They have 4 laps to give it another go around.
He shouldn't be under too much pressure though, because Bygone is on the softs and he has less fuel than X11, so a much faster car to run the rest of the laps with.
X11 is 1.3 seconds in front of teammate man like Steve, and a very big gap from man like Steve all the way back to CRC Zavaka, 14 seconds. Zavaka not having a traditional Zavaka race.
Wow, he is really in no man's land. Look at that. 15 seconds in front, 13 seconds behind. Looking back here at Sylvester Alone, still trudging along. Now, the race is never done, because once penalties are applied, you never really know where you could end up. So you always have to run as fast as you could.
And as clean as you should. Well,
Yep.
could. That is the most important part. I remember that clearly from our last event. So Zavaka has a 13-second lead on Lati. Lati has a 24-second lead on Sylvester Alone.
New kid has gone into the pits on the 11th lap, so interesting strategy there.
But where will that put him when he comes out? Because that will afford Zabaka maybe.
Oh, he hasn't taken tires.
He's also under a fuel stop. And he's out. Quick pit stop there. And Zabaka's overtaken him. Zabaka got the place on the exit.
And Zabuka does not have to pit for the rest of the race. So now it's just a run. He has better tires as well, so this should work out. Let's have a look here at X11, still chasing Bygone. The gap has opened though, 2.2 seconds. And back up in front, the gap is closing to try hard, so we might see a photo finish here. 1.8 seconds between try hards and yes breads.
It's coming down. And you have to know that yes breads and vaccine are basically locomotives coming down this back straight.
They have not left each other's bumper for the entire race.
I could say something about that, but I'll leave that right there.
That's for the nightly lobby.
They are hunting I Hate Try Hard down. 3 laps to go, and it's still all to play for. Great camera shot there. I Hate Try Hard coming over with the 2 CRC cars basically lurking in the shadow. The gap is down to 1.5. 1.5.
Would like to take a moment here to shout out the livery designers for the teams. Private Kaboom designing the Bajan liveries. His stuff is always good. If you're on GD Sport, definitely check him out. Because, I mean, well, once you're a livery designer, you have to be good at it, right?
Well,
never
yes.
puts out a bad livery. And our own livery designer, Manticore Design, Matthew Phillips. Big thank you to him, because he puts in so much hard work that, well, everyone sees, but nobody really recognizes.
Oh, believe me, I for one will tip my hat to him, because anybody who have noticed my cars, I do my own libraries, and I know 2, 3, 4 hours is not an easy job putting those libraries together.
Yep.
Not an easy job at all.
He is 90% of the time the creativity behind every CRC livery.
We see Apex Kid here picking up a penalty. Sadly, he was coming up the hill and had some contact with the wall and gave it a good scrape. So he's burning it at the top before he heads down, and he has done so. And he's back on his way. 13 seconds back from 3rd, but 5.6 from 5th. So he's literally still in no man's land.
We see Levin has closed the gap a bit to Danny though.
Yes, it was a 2.2 second, now it's down to 1.7. 2 laps to go.
Back up in front, the gap is
half a second.
Really small. Yeah.
Half a second. It is draft range now. 2 laps to go. Draft range. Try hard. We'll have to try hard. He is being hunted by not 1 but 2 CRC drivers. Yes Breads and Vaccine. And
Slight mistake on the exit.
Yes Breads is basically allowing him to pull him along. He's looking, but he's not giving it just yet. This might really do come down to a last lap, last corner battle. Don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's gonna tip his hand just yet. I think he's just gonna apply the pressure as much as possible and see if he could force him into a mistake or an error. And once that is done, the position more or less could be taken. And I know CRC Vaccine is just sitting there waiting to capitalize on anything that happens between those front 2.
If they work together on the back straight, this should be a relatively easy pass. But they need to time it perfectly. Because that second to last corner, well, I mean, that never ends well when you go too wide.
Yeah. Right now you could throw a blanket over them. So I hate trying to just open back another gap, a little gap, give himself some breathing room, but it's still draft all the way down to this shipping, and it's going to be interesting.
And he's weaving to break the draft.
Yeah, CRC, yes, spreads and vaccine, both tires are in a slightly better condition than I hate Triad, so they have the rubber underneath them to do what is necessary. And there it is. 1, 2, 3. Basically covered by 0.2 of a second from first to third, entering the final lap.
Oh, what yes, Brett has a little run on him. He might make it into...
He will, because he has the inside line to the first corner. And he does. He takes it.
Nice pass.
He takes
now it's
it.
just to bring vaccine up there as well.
Imagine that. 15 laps of racing and the top 3 are covered by 0.2 of a second into the last lap.
Oh, little nudge there, I believe. The stewards will have to have a look at that.
The stewards will have to have a look at that, but Vaccine basically has taken the second spot away from Try Hard, and the top 2 are basically now pulling away. They've already opened our 1.2 second lead off Try Hard, so I'm not sure if the move shook him up a little bit and he lost his focus. But it will be remain to be seen. Going back down the order, Apex Kid is still in no man's land.
Yep.
He's all alone in fourth and will surely finish that way, all things considered. Vigan has opened up a 2.4 second lead to X11. Man Like Steve is in 7th, Tabaka is in 8th, New Kid is in 9th, Lati and Sylvester alone to bring up the rear. Yes, Brett and Vaccine down the back straight.
Really running out that fuel.
And I have no need for it now. Entering the last stretch for home under the Amaral Bridge. Into the last corner. Finishing line is in sight. CRC Yes Breads takes victory here in Mount Panorama.
CRC 1-2. We love to see it. I mean, you know, no bias, never mind.
I have nothing to say. Ah, look at that. CRC Pineapple has rejoined the room. Current came back. Thank you, TNT. Right at the end.
X11 coming in 6th. Saboka 7th. Followed closely by New Kid. Like to make note here of Tryhard's very, very good effort down to the end there. That must have been so stressful because, I mean, holding someone back when they're on the softs and you're on the mediums.
It's not just holding someone, you're holding two drivers
people,
back.
Yeah.
Not just one driver, you have 2 drivers basically pushing you to the end. Lati here coming over the line in 9th.
And Man Like Steve out of fuel.
Man Like, oh there, coasting to the line, literally. You'll make it, Steve, don't worry, it's just right there. And there he goes across the line. And Sylvester alone, 2, is alone. Down the backstretch. Coming in to finish.
Special mention of him too. When the race doesn't really go your way, or maybe you end up in a bad situation, a small accident, it takes a lot out of you to try to finish the, you know, remaining however long. And a lot of the time it's not a short race, you know, so good effort on his part.
I also see CRC Youngnut has been able to rejoin the room, so I guess electricity has returned to both of their areas, so it will be all guns blazing for race 2.
Good to see them back.
one could only imagine what would have taken place if they had stayed. So that's race 1 at the Mount Panorama circuit. It was a very, very interesting race, very exciting down to the end, with a 3-way battle for the win, for the lead, taken by CRC Spreads, with CRC Vaccine in second, and I Hate Triads in third, with CRC Apex Kid in fourth. Very nice race also from CRC Zabaka, who basically in the opening laps was down to the back of the field, battling 11th and 12th position. He made his way all the way back up to 7th.
Lots of good driving from everyone here. I mean, this is top level stuff, you know. All of these drivers are at the top of their game, so
I would like to see if we you know, after like how we have New Kid and Lati come to our usual nightly lobbies, it would be interesting to have some of these guys come join us, or even for us to go and join them.
Yep.
And you know, after the competition over, you know, they see you grab some drinks and you sit down and you all talk and you have a chat and a laugh. So
Jerry, if you could do me a favor and just take a screenshot of the race results, because that would end the stream from my side.
Not a problem. I will hold. Give me 1 second.
So now we'll be having a slight break so everyone could, you know, go refresh after that.
Have a drink.
Don't drink and
Go
drive.
to the... Yeah, well, you know what I meant.
And we'll switch to the other track now.
No problem. So the results are in. So Dominic, race 2.
Now this one is gonna be wild. These Group 1 cars, so if someone would go out on track, get a good look at them. The Toyota TS050 hybrid, well TS050 hybrid, but everyone says this car supposedly, according to the game, has 500 horsepower and it's light as a feather, but the way these modern LMP1 cars work is they have a very potent hybrid kick. So for a short while, these cars go from 500 horsepower to the rear wheels to over 1,000 horsepower four-wheel drive, and we'll see a lot of interesting passes and a lot of understeer coming out of the corners because of that hybrid boost.
I would say the last sector of this track is where a lot of action can take place.
Yeah. There's a... Well, as we're looking at Apex Kid here, we'll go on board and see just how blind these corners are. Especially the one he's coming up to here. It's a double right-hander, and you need to be really careful as you enter, because the understeer as you crest the hill will send you straight off the track.
Confidence is everything for this race. And dare I say, big shout out to both, I mean we mentioned it just now, but big shout out to again the livery guys, because the work done here on these Toyotas are beyond great. I myself have tried to to do the library on mine, and I know what effort it takes to do a library on these LMP cars, and to see what the Bayesian team has done and what CRC team has done is fantastic.
For sure. For those of us who have tried it, you know very well, it takes hours and hours of patience and sometimes a little frustration to get these cars to look the way they do.
That middle plane down the back center of the car is one of the most difficult things to actually add anything to.
Yeah.
So to see it done as clean as it is very impressive to see the livery done onto these cars. I love the Bayesian nose, where the trident basically right across the nose. It's very, very, very interesting. Ooh, McLaren go taking a beach tour there. So, Dominic, any predictions for this race?
Now, I know in the last race, well, that was Byguns track, right? So, of course he would do well there. Zabuka, well, he has his own special relationship with that track. He is not the biggest fan.
It clearly showed. But he did well to recover.
Left the room again. I wonder if
he did very. Oh, yes, no. He did. He's out again. But Young Nut is still here, so hopefully what affects one does not affect the other.
So looking here, I really expect tryhards. I mean, he's very, very fast. I expect him to be no less in these Group 1 cars. Generally, the skill of the driver translates very, very well to the pace of the car as well. So in the faster cars, you find yourself enjoying it a bit more because the margin of error is so small and there's so much performance to extract that, well, I mean, we'll see a crazy time come from him just now, I'm sure. Same thing with Pineapple, who is unfortunately not here. I don't know what's going on with the electricity in those spots. But thankfully we still have Young Nut, who's currently out on course.
When you think about it, Dom, it actually in a way is a slight blessing because CRC Pineapple, Gavin is the one who actually hosts the streams for these races. So if he wasn't racing, he would have been hosting. And if he was hosting, and you know the issues that he's currently having took place, well, that would have been it for the stream. We would have been technically racing in the dark, so to speak.
So I've gotten word that Pineapple is currently resetting his internet. So we'll see him back in here in a few seconds, but I mean, yeah, for sure, that was a blessing in disguise, right?
It was a blessing in disguise because it could have worked out very, very different. So sometimes, you know, there are the storms, but there are the rainbows that come after, and we have to appreciate the fact that, you know, maybe things worked out the way they are for, you know, what it is.
Yep. You see, man like Steve here putting down a 31.6, which is, well, to be fair, anything under 33 seconds on this track is very, very fast. You know, these cars don't like undulations in the road, and they don't like any kind of elevation change. So on a track like this, where the road is not only bumpy, but it's uphill and downhill all the time, it's really hard to be sure of yourself and get a good lap out of it.
Well, one could say this track may favor our friends in blue and gold. They look to be very strong even in these opening practice sessions. So it may augur well to see how the qualifying goes and then how that translates into the race. This race actually will be for how many laps?
This race will be 12 laps.
So a 12-lap sprint, basically, because anybody who knows these cars, it's never a long race. LMP1 cars are quick. A 12 lap race in one of these is basically a sprint. To reference, most Le Mans race car drivers in the top tier now don't even refer to the 24-hour race as a race anymore. It's basically a 24-hour sprint, if you could believe that.
That is the dream. Racing the 24 hours of Le Mans or Nürburgring or even Spa. As much as I don't really like that track.
I would actually I wouldn't say race it, but just to experience it, to cover it, to you know, to be there is one of those bucket list items, as they say.
Definitely. We see man like Steve have a little spin there. Let's move on to Apex Kid, who just set the fastest lap in practice.
Pineapple has rejoined, so clearly he's gotten the internet issue solved, and he is back in the room.
Once he puts his car in, we could have...
Youngnut seems to be doing well too. Only a second off Kid's time.
8 thousandths off of X11's time though, and X11 is no slouch himself, so...
8 thousandths would
very
be what?
well.
Not a half a blink?
Not even close.
That's not even a twitch of the steering.
That's the thought of blinking.
And he's up. He's actually a tenth of a second up on this lap, gone purple. So clearly, Youngnut feeling vengeful after being rudely cut out from the first race, has come out in glorified anger to make his stamp, put his stamp on this second race.
Sylvester alone putting in good times too. This should be a very, very close race.
And unlike Panorama, this racetrack is actually quite wide, quite spacious, if for a lack of a word. So it will make for a lot more room for drivers to, get in there and, I won't say rub fenders, but it will not be as close and as edgy as the Panorama race circuit.
Now, I think to note, on this track, there's a ton of runoff. So once you grab a little bit of that grass on the corner exits, you're basically going out into the void. There's no coming back from there.
Yeah, once you hit, well, it's worse if you hit the gravel and you enter the shadow rim, that's it for you.
Yeah,
it's all over.
Especially in these cars are so low to the ground that once they dig into the gravel, you can't dig them back out. So people need to be really careful on the corner exits.
It'll be interesting to see after qualifying and once the race gets underway, what team tactics will take place.
So this should be a fairly clear-cut race. Judging by the fuel and tires will be more of a problem than anything. I think they should be good to go on fuel. So, hold on. Let's just start quali here. Quali is...
So this will be a stop check or qualifying?
We don't need another stop check because
oh yeah, you
no one really left the room. Yeah.
Well, except
those two, but they seem to be fine so far. Usually they have a pit glitch if they're gonna get stuck on the line.
Alright, so New Kid is out, Vaccine doing the usual, out in second, then Pineapple followed by Zavaka, Youngnut, Yes Breads, and Lati are last to leave. So clearly tactics already. Yes Breads and Youngnut basically playing the waiting game. And who will be the last? Yes Breads is out, so Youngnut once again making the decision to leave last, give himself the most amount of room to do his qualifying run.
So we looking back at New Kid, first out. I mean,
beating Vaccine. Never heard that before.
The massive Denso sticker on the midsection of the car. since we went on board with New Kid for the last race, let's have a look at what Vaccine will do for this one.
I'm going to make a prediction here, and I believe that the leaderboard for the top 5 or 6 will be very, very mixed. It will not be like the last race where we saw a 2-to-1 split. I think this one will be a bit more close with regards to. Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how this all plays out. So the first set of hot laps are on.
See Vaccine fighting that oversteer, well, understeer, oversteer into understeer as the hybrid kicks in.
New Kid also had the same issue. Put a wheel off actually and almost had to correct before losing it. Right, Young Nut is the last to cross the line on his flying lap and now begins it. Up front, ahead of him will be CRC Yes Breads. Never want to take slight on these sorts of circuits and these sorts of cars. Yes, Bread's always a man of precision. Zavaka having an interesting time of it ahead. Lati's ahead of him. Sylvester alone too is on his way down the hill after the hairpin, with I Hate Tridents just in front of him. Following man like Steve, X11, Vaccine, and CRC Pineapple.
See Pineapple with a 131. That is rapid. Now ideally he would want to go back into the pits and
I believe that's exactly what he did. Vaccine is also ducked back in the pits to get a fresh set.
Let's have a look at Tryhards. Tryhards now in first.
Wow. Is also, that split can't be far.
Yeah.
That split can't be far. That's what 130.125 and CRC Pineapple had a 130 what? It wasn't even, it had to be hundredths.
Wow.
It had to be hundredths of a second.
0.01 second off.
1/100th of a second. With Vaccine 0.6 of a second in third, and as I said, Young Nut 0.08 of a second off Vaccine. So clearly Young Nut coming out. Young Nut is coming out. Vengeful.
Could always tell, could always see Peanut with those the pink on the wing mirrors.
Yes. And the pink helmet through the window, through the door window.
It's funny how that pink has become a little scary to see in your review because of how quick he is now.
And the thing is, when you consider, I mean, Peanut's still growing, he's still learning. He still can get faster and will get faster. So one could only imagine, you know, when he puts in that much more effort, what he will become. And I mean, I told him this, he reminded me of myself when I first started to play this game 20 odd years ago when it first came out. And you would race from 5 in the evening to hours in the morning.
You playing Gran Turismo before I was born?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When it first came out, that was the game. I remember I worked my, butt off and I bought my own TV and bought my PS1, and that was my life. You come home from work and you just play until hours in the morning. I think my neighbors were fed up because, I mean, they used to hear that racing all 2 and 3 in the morning and come play. In fact, my cousin, one of the drifters, big drifter in Trinidad, Devon, used to come over by me and we race and drift till 4 or 5 in the morning. I remember one neighbor actually pelting rocks at the window to tell us to turn the volume down. Yeah, it was quite funny. But that's life, that's the youth.
So
Those
we
were the
see
days.
Apex Kid up in third, 5/10 off. Really close. Well, I mean, as close as you'll get to the top two. The top two are just in a different league right now.
I still can't get over a 100th of a second time
Yeah.
difference. So Pineapple is back on our outlap. So clearly he knows the target and he will be chasing.
Ooh, little overs there.
What a snap.
I'll
Apex
tell you.
Kid has moved into third, 5/10 off Pineapple's time, with Vaccine 1/10 from him, with Young Nut still 800ths of a second off of him, with CRC, yes, Brett, 400ths of a second
Wow.
off from him. So the gap between 4th, 5th, and 6th is less than a second. Much less than a second. 7/10, 8/10 of a second.
Wow, the gap is just tiny overall. Look at X11 and New Kid.
Oh yes, look.
Both of them
Wow.
just a 10th of a second behind Yes Breads.
So if I am to calculate this correctly, the top 8 drivers are less than a second off
Yep.
the pole time. This is Formula One business. The top 8 drivers, 7 drivers now, are all within a second of the pole time.
Tryhards just went under the 30.
Ooh, X11 has a big off. So he will have to abort that lap straight away. Back into the pits.
2 minutes left in quali.
Also, Tryhard has extended his overall lead. Now up to 2/10 of a second over Pineapple.
Now, for those who don't know, the first race from each night has been CRC's combo. So we choose a track and we choose a car, and then the opposing team also does the same to make sure that there's completely fair racing, no bias to any tracks or any cars, you know. And well, we see it reflected in the results. CRC usually places higher in their tracks, and Team Barbados has been doing pretty well on their combos.
So I hate Trident's pole time is a 1 minute 29.9 dead. I don't think I could do that even if I tried.
I think I'll have a really hard time getting there too.
CRC Pineapple is in the hunt. Apex Kid is
He's
also on a
having-
flyer.
Pineapple is having a lot of lag though.
I think that internet issues and electricity issues really hampered
Yeah.
him. A lot of drivers are back in the pit, so I'm not sure if they basically have called it a day and looking to stick with their times and allow the race to play out as it would.
Right, quali is about to end. The drivers crossing right now will be able to finish their laps.
Dominic, I believe CRC Bygone is missing.
Missing.
I have not seen him do a lap here at all. In fact, he's not even anywhere on the board.
Hold on, let me have a look through. No, this is gonna be a 6v6 again, because yeah, we've had one driver from each team sit out.
Okay.
See,
the Bygone
Apex
decided
just
to
crossed the line, didn't improve, and that was his final lap. Let's have a look at New Kid here, rounding the last corner to complete his final lap. he might have mistimed that. He came out on an outlap. CRC Young Nut now. Coming around big understeer going into the last corner.
Ooh, that would have cost him.
Yeah. Yep, 8 tenths
That would have
behind.
cost him. So, as I said, this qualifying will have shaken up the starting order heading into the final race of this two-night race series of Team CRC versus Team Barbados. And for the second time tonight, I Hate Tridents has taken pole both races.
I hate tryhards.
Oh, I hate Tridents. I keep saying I hate Tridents.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Oh, I wonder why that is. My apologies. My apologies, my Bayesian family. My apologies. But I guess that comes from the how to put it, the mistake we made with Pitbull when we had the race series last year.
Is that really a mistake? I feel like that was meant to happen.
No, it wasn't meant to happen. It was. I'd have to speak to Mr. Ray Smith on that, but it went from Pitbull to Pullbull, and it's still stuck at Pullbull to this day. But it is what it is. All right. So I Hate Tryhards is on pole with a 129.9 dead, with CRC Pineapple again taking second place. And I believe third is X11.
Yep. Only half a second behind.
Yep. And right behind him would be CRC Apex Kid doing a fantastic job there to come in fourth, with CRC Vaccine a 10th behind him after holding on to second place for most of the qualifying, and then slipping down the orders. The guys got faster. New Kid is 300ths of a second off Vaccine's time and is 500ths of a second ahead of Young Nut's time.
So, judging by those qualifying gaps, we're
session.
gonna see some really, really close racing here. Hopefully, the field doesn't spread out too much, because honestly, on this track, it's more a matter of surviving than pushing the car to its limits.
Well, my prediction came true. I did say that the qualifying would have basically intertwined both teams more than the first race, and so it has done. There's a very interesting mix of yellow and red, if you go by the colors of nationality. Gold and red, sorry. So it'll be very interesting to see how this will all play out. These first opening laps before the race settles down, as it always does. Although one with a 12-lap race, I'm not sure if it will have time to settle down, so to speak, because as soon as it starts, it will be almost over.
Yep, there's no room for error in this race. So as we wait for the drivers to enter their cars, we have to look at the tires.
Tire choice will be critical. So Dom, what would be your prediction for tires in this race? I don't believe fuel will be an issue, so...
Yeah, well, I don't know if I should say too much before the race begins, but the softs should not last any more than about 7 laps before they get unbearable, because remember the hybrid boost in these cars, it's just a sudden boost of 500 horsepower wheels, you know. That's no small amount. So people need to be
technically a whole Porsche 911 turbo,
yeah,
technically. Because if I'm not mistaken, a GT3 is what, 450, 475, somewhere around there. So you're talking about a whole performance sports car of power added in an instant. So we have X11 on the mediums. We see Vaccine also starting on the mediums. Sylvester Lone 2 is also on the mediums. Lati is on the mediums. New Kid is on mediums. So quite an interesting mix of strategy coming up here.
Also, for both of the races that Team Barbados has chosen, it's gonna be a rolling start. So there will be a big gap between, well,
First
every
to
driver.
last.
Yeah. So to make it
Interesting
up this
also,
order gonna be difficult.
I Hate Tryhards is also on mediums. So it will be very interesting to see if Pineapple could take advantage of being on the softs in these opening laps.
So while we set the grid, let's have a look here.
I have now noticed that the Denso spelt on New Kid's car, the S is back to front. How interesting is that?
Was that on purpose? I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
it was.
Even the N is also back to front.
Interesting choice.
I know, it's quite interesting.
Let's
The little
see.
things that you pick up. And for those that are watching and may not actually know, this Autopolis circuit is actually a real world circuit based in Japan. And I will not mince words to say it's not one of my favorite circuits in this game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But
This is a really, really difficult track because most of the corners are off camber and blind, which is never a good combo.
it's not one of my favorite circuits on this game. But it is quite an interesting circuit if you actually take the time to look at it. And
Right, we're just
So the
getting ready
driver-
here. As
So the
Beatles
drivers
go
are-
out in a train.
they're basically getting their hands dry, getting those last minute butterflies out. This is the last race in the fourth and final race of this 2-night race series. CRC Team CRC versus Team Barbados. I think I'll have to do some more Bayesian accent in our night lobby. Confuse some people.
Right. Think we're all set. Let's get this race
All right.
going.
Time to get going. Was if Gavin was on the controls, time to get good. No fancy sound bites tonight.
Yeah, so much more effort than most people know goes into just
And
the
big shout out
street
to
graphics.
CRC Pineapple Gavin for all he has done to host these events. It's never an easy job.
Yep.
So big shout out to Gavin and to Carissa, who
We're
basically
missing
sits with
daily
him.
because
Yeah,
I'm
sits
filling
with
in
him.
for her commentary spot right now.
Shout out to Carissa. I know she always shouts me out, so I'm repaying the service. Shout out to Carissa. Car Racer 25. Don't worry, you'll get your job back for the next event. I promise.
So we look
So,
up in
here
front
we
for the
are.
start of the race.
Head into the line. Start of this 12-lap race. And we're off. I Hate Tryhards is taking it down to turn 1, and it's a train line basically. Oh, we have a early fight there. X11 trying to make the pass on Pineapple into the braking zone. Pineapple holding him off. And behind him is a slew. CRC.
Oh.
X11 has lost to
Good pass
place.
there.
Apex Kid has taken a place from him. Vaccine is in 5th. followed by New Kid, who's under pressure from Young Nut, and CRC Yes Breads. Young Nut trying to make the pass on the outside.
New Kid doing very well to hold his line there.
Man like Steve in 9th, with CRC Zabaka in 10th, Sylvester alone 2 in 11th, and Lati in 12th. Already 7 seconds off the leader. Another factor of the previous mentioned rolling start, where you start so far back from the leader on a rolling start. By the time they cross the line, you still haven't even seen the straight.
Yep.
Especially on this track.
Be glad it wasn't something like Red Bull, because infamously in this game, the leader has like a 20-second gap on Red Bull ring. Not sure why they did it like that. Yeah, exactly.
Half a lap. It's almost half a lap. Impossible to overtake.
Back up in front. Pineapple and Try Hard going at it. Oh, contact. I think there might be lag there, because Pineapple seems to be bouncing around a little bit.
Well, he seems pretty steady on my screen. So, but Apex Kid is also in the mix, waiting to see how this plays out between the two. And they basically trading, how to put it, sensory positions between 1 and 2. So Pineapple has the lead now. Try Hard has the lead. Oh, and he runs wide. He runs wide. He loses 2 positions. 2 positions, almost 3 to his own teammate X11. He's run wide. So Pineapple is in the lead, followed by Apex Kid, followed by I Hate Try Hard, followed by X11, with Vaccine in 5th. New Kid is in 6th with Young Nut and Yes Breads basically down his diffuser. Man like Steve is in 9th with Zawaka basically trailing. Sylvester alone 2, and Lati 246 is in 12th.
Vaccine making a pass on X11 there. And New Kid trying to hold off Young Nut and Yes Breads. New Kid very good on his defense.
I think the battle right now would be 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8 looks to be the battle, with 9th and 10th not far off. Anybody making a mistake here is guaranteed to lose not just a position, but maybe a number of positions.
Yep. Just want everyone to take a look there. These cars make almost 300 kilometers an hour down this short front straight. Just for
we have an off. We have an off. X11 is off.
And
he's
there's the sand trap.
Oh. He's into this, and he's all the way down to the back of the field.
That hurts so much.
He's lost everything. He is now down to the back of the field. He's what, 2 seconds off. 2 seconds off.
So is Sylvester alone.
Sylvester alone also went off, but is recovered. So back up. Man like Steve is in 8th. Zawaka is just 3/10 off of him. New Kid is in front as behind Young Nut and Yes Bread. So Yes Breads and Young Nut were able to capitalize on X11's mistake. Yes Breads overtaken Young Nut, and they're basically chasing down the top 4 now. There's a 1.5 second gap to Vaccine, who is 7/10 off I Hate Tryhards, and Apex Kid and CRC Pineapple are in front. Oh, Apex Kid
has gone off. Oh no.
He
made it back on in time.
He made it back on in time. Luckily didn't hit the barrier. Luckily didn't spin out, because to recover from a spin out is almost next to impossible, but he lost a lot of time. So now I Hate Tryhards can basically run him down, but I Hate Tryhards is under pressure from Vaccine, so he can't attack but has to defend. In the meantime, CRC Pineapple is making chow with his time in front. He has already built up a 5.2 second lead.
Yeah,
no doubt from the error with Apex Kid. So he is checking out. No doubt disgruntled from TNTech's finest performance before, and then the little internet issues he had. So he is going to make a stamp on this race. all alone in front. Look at that. Nothing behind. The guy's now coming into view. Pineapple is out. Moving back. Apex Kid has recovered well. He's opened back another couple tenths to... No, he's lost a couple tenths to Try Hard, who is gaining. But
Closing
he
the gap
has now
fast.
moved. Yeah, but he's actually moved away from Vaccine and Yes Breads. Oh, there's a CRC train. There's Vaccine, Yes Breads, and Young Nut, basically nose to tail, coming up behind Try Hard. So this will be also a next interesting battle here because Apex Kid has to defend from Try Hard, but Try Hard has to defend from what is a... Oh, he's in the pit! No, he made an error! He hit the pit wall on the entry to the pit. He hit the pit wall on the entry to the pit, and it would have cost him some time. Man like Steve is also in the pit, Lati is also in the pit, so I think this is a tactic here. He's come out on the softs now to the start of lap 5.
Now he has clean air, so he's gonna maximize his softs.
This is a team tactic. Team tactics playing out here early in lap 5. 3 of the top Bajan drivers all came interchange from mediums to soft. With that clean air, let's see how this all plays out.
Now we have to look really closely at the gap when the CRC team goes into pit. Because if it's close, Tryhards will come out way in front of everyone. Once he could use these softs to the best of his ability while he has a clean air, there's no way he won't gain positions.
Zamaka is in no man's land. He's a 10-second lead on Tryhard and he's 4 seconds back from Young Nut. So basically the top 6 positions are all held by Team CRC. Pineapple, Apex Kid, Yes Breads, Vaccine, Young Nut, and Zabaka in that order. And the gap, as you said, Dominic, is already coming down. Tryhards came out with almost 11-second gap to Zabaka. It is already down to 9.3. Vaccine is in the pit. No doubt taking the gamble. And by the way, pit entry on this race circuit is quite tricky because if you make a mistake, you will hit the pit wall on entry.
Yep.
And you can lose quite some time. Yeah, you can lose some time. So Vaccine is out, and he came out just behind New Kid, and is basically 3 seconds adrift of Tryhard. So Tryhard has already made up time on Vaccine. He has already made up time on Vaccine.
Now we look at the gap from Vaccine to our leader. 28 seconds. That's a huge gap, especially on a track where a lap is only 1 minute and 30 seconds. So we need to watch as they go into the pit. Wow, look at that 10-second lead. Pineapple is on it right now. Putting on quality times in race trim.
Pineapple is making chow.
Looking back now, New Kid still holding off Vaccine. New Kid has put in a really good performance so far for all of these events. Doesn't seem to matter whether he's familiar with the track or not, he's just adapted.
Tryhard's last is basically pushing himself along. Team tactics here, I wonder if New Kid is giving CRC Vaccine some stress to try and give Tryhard that extra effort to just, get in front, get ahead. So we're into lap 7 here of 12. It'll be interesting to see when the CRC freight train will all make their pit stops to do a tire change. No doubt it will be a one-stop here.
Should be within the next 2 laps that they go into the pit because the softs, the front tires would be a little worn by now.
Oh, we have team contact. Young Nut hit CRC Apex Kid on the way
Oh
downhill
no.
and
Oh
forced
yes,
him
Brez
off.
runs into him too.
And yes, Bress also ran into him. No, we had some team contact. I think what happened was, from what I was looking at, Young Nut basically came down the hill in draft and lost it under braking and ran into the back of him and forced him off. And then when he came back on, he came out in front of him, and that was the end of that. Okay. So Young Nut is off. Young Nut is off. Just on the start, on the very last corner of the chicane, he ran wide. I'm not sure, and he's going into the pit. I'm sure to change those tires. Oh, and he hits the pit wall, and he's lost
Big
more
time loss there. Big time loss. So now it's up to Pineapple and Zabuka to make the gap to try hard. Although
what
Zabuka
an
still has to
interesting
pit.
piece of event. What an interesting play of events here. And after such hard work and making up such time and such effort, Young Nut lost so much time. I didn't even notice when I just realized he was missing on the board from the top 3, and I didn't see where exactly he fell out.
That happened so fast.
It did. I'm not sure if the incident with Apex Kid shook him his concentration, and it forced him into an error. Right. So here we are. CRC Pineapple has a 21.
Kid just went off. Just a little bit.
So CRC Pineapple has a 21-second gap to CRC Zabuka, who only is 2.2 seconds off of Tryhard. And Pineapple is into the pit. So it's all to play for here now, Dominic.
Now,
let's see where he comes out. This might be
close, because Tryhard is already coming around the last bend.
Yep. And he's out.
Oh, and he's out. Okay.
Pineapple is already out on track.
Securing that lead. Zabuka has just gone into the pit. And Maxine made a gap to New Kid because New Kid just got a penalty going around the bottom of the track.
Alright, so the time has technically stabilized. Pineapple has a 6.2 second lead on I Hate Tryhard, and I am not sure if that is going to work in Tryhard's favor. On fresh tires with less fuel, it's all to play for now. Gavin has already opened up more of a gap, more time.
Tryhard's running a little wide there.
Vaccine is in third, 5 seconds, 4 seconds off Tryhard, 2 seconds off New Kid. So New Kid has him in his sights. New Kid has Yes Breads, 2 seconds adrift of him. And Yes Breads has man like Steve. Yes, I am now looking at that. Yes Breads has man like Steve 6/10, 7/10 off of him. So Yes Breads no doubt will be trying to avert his eyes from the mirror.
Steve is on softs as well, so he has a massive advantage, especially out around the long corners. You might see the gap close up a bit here.
It's definitely coming down. Did Yes Breads pit?
Yes, he did. He's on mediums now.
He's on the mediums now. So he's basically fighting.
So we're going into the last 3 laps of the race. What are you expecting to see?
This race clearly will not be it is as we predicted. It is a very much different race from all the others. The Bayesian team has basically come out force in this last race with these hybrid cars, which clearly they prefer, and it has shown even from qualifying. Right, I made the prediction that they would they would basically intertwine themselves within the CRC team for qualifying, and it paid off. And it has played into their hands now within this 12-lap race, where there's not the CRC freight train that they were in the first race of tonight and even last night. Right, so I predict the team will actually perform well here, and they're doing quite well. Man like Steve is lost a bit of time to Yes Breads. Yes Breads has managed to open a gap, right, and double his time on man like Steve. And he has a bit of a gap on CRC Apex Kid, who is 3 seconds back from him, and CRC's Avatar is 3 seconds back from him. Young Nut is way down in 9th, no doubt, still probably upset of that critical error that cost him so much time and so many places. So I know he'll be quite perturbed of this event, tonight's event, not being able to fully take part in race 1 and now having this error in race 2. Lati is down in 10th, 9 seconds back from Youngnut and 6 seconds from his teammate X11, who is 13 seconds from Sylvester alone in 12th.
Now, X11 would be, I'm sure he must be fuming because
he was there.
Just barely missed it. And he was right up there, and I don't know if there was contact when he went off. So we're definitely gonna have to have a look at that. But
yes, but you notice down the CRC Pineapple had opened the gap to 11.5 seconds.
Of course. I expected no less. Pineapple, I mean, he's one of the faster guys I've met in this.
He's heading into the last lap, about to cross the line to start his final lap. A 12-second lead on I Hate Tryhards.
A second a lap. The gap has opened to Tryhards.
And Tryhards, by the way, has vaccine on his back. He is in the draft, coming down the front straight, cutting into that time, heading into the brake zone. Vaccine late on the brakes, closes that gap even closer. Now 3/10 of a second off, heading into this last lap. How will this play out? Remember, they had their tussle on Panorama just moments ago. So
I'm sure Tryhards will be trying to get a little...
He'll be trying hard.
Yeah, a little revenge for now.
He'll be trying hard to not let Vaccine take him twice. So, will Vaccine apply the shot? We shall see. Yes Breads is New Kid is 4.5 seconds off the Vaccine fight. Yes Breads is 6/10 off of him. So we have 2 battles here within the top 5 that are separated by New Kid makes a little runs wide.
A little bit wide there, but he still made it out fine.
Yeah. So we have 2 battles coming into the line here. New Kid with Yes Breads, Vaccine with Tryhards. Yes Breads has closed that gap upon him now. Close that gap.
Only basically, a few more corners to make the pass. I think he'll do it on the last corner.
Well, the race is over. Gavin is done. 13-second gap. CRC Pineapple takes the win. Hybrids and Vaccine are basically racing to the line. I believe Hybrid will hold on to Tryhard. Will hold on to it and take second.
Great
Vaccine
performance by Tryhard there.
New Kid takes 4th. Yes Breads comes in 5th. Man like Steve with a great drive in 6th. Zavaka takes 7th. Apex Kid takes 8th.
Young Nut surely still fuming after that.
Yeah, Young Nut didn't have the night he would have liked to have, so he takes 9th. We see Lati and X11 fighting to the line here. They're coming in together. Formation 10th and 11th, with Sylvester alone too, taking 12th.
Now it's a shame we didn't get to see the initial Barbados team entrant, GTI Run 2. We'd like to see what he would have done on this circuit. But I guess for whatever reason, we had to run the 6 versus 6. So, well played by both sides. I have to say everybody put out a real good fight for this. And I guess we'll see what happens after Stewart.
This will be the start of many.
I can't wait to see the rest.
Flying fish will be the least of our problems after this series. So here we have Gavin's chest, 246 press.
Wow. All right.
Ooh. Ooh. Pineapple taking a jab there.
So now we look at the results screen. Pineapple finishing with a 14-second gap. Everyone else following close behind.
Look at that gap between first and second and fourth and fifth. But as we predicted, this was a very tight race. And Team Barbados managed to get themselves very close within the top positions prior to the previous race, where the CRC team basically kind of, I wouldn't say dominated, but very much held their own.
Yep.
The team from Barbados came out this race and proved that they were no slouch, and they came to race, and it shows in the results. And hats off to our friends from Barbados. Get to do an accent one more time before we go. So shout out to all my friends from Barbados. I'm happy to have you all. I can't wait to meet you all virtually, I guess, in nightly lobbies. I hope they, make the time and effort to come over and do some race with us in the night during the weeks and the weekends when we can.
And remember, everyone is free to join our nightly lobbies. We just
no customs to clear, no immigration officers to face. You don't have to pay Caribbean Airlines no big set of money, right? Just jump online, come on race, have some fun, rub some elbows. We talk a lot of nonsense, and we do talk quite a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing is taken personally. But we have lots of fun, and we get to interact and do the thing that we all enjoy doing, which is race.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and have fun and learn. Because, I myself, anybody, you learn as you go along. You get advice, you ask for advice, the guys are willing to give that advice. So we learn. We have lots of fun.
There are no secrets here. If you want to get faster, just say the word, So, well, thanks everybody for coming out. Results will be tallied pretty soon. Stewarding has to be done, and then all the scores are calculated, and we'll have a final result.
Yeah, I don't envy the stewards for this series. I wish you all the best. This first race tonight at Panorama will be very interesting to see how it all works out.
Yeah.
This Autopolis race also had quite some interesting battles, and errors were made. It cost some drivers a little bit. It cost some drivers a lot, quite a lot. Right? Some drivers, their finishing place clearly wasn't their race place.
Yep.
But interesting to note. Look at it, Dominic. Yes, Breads and Vaccine, who dominated races, some of the 3 prior races, 3rd and 5th, compared to the previous race on Panorama, where they were basically nose to tail 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right?
So everyone has their strong suits, and well, that's the whole point of having such a different class of car in each race.
Yep. Positions 1 to 6 to 7 are basically CRC, Team Barbados, CRC, Team Barbados, CRC, Team Barbados. So very nice, very mixed finishing order. These Team Barbados put on a hell of a performance for this second race here tonight, and congrats to them, hats off to them.
And again, thanks to them for coming out. It only has so many places to get this level of racing in the Caribbean, so thanks for their time and coming and putting on a good performance.
I can say this from now, when the next competition rolls around, I would be very upset, because you could only have 12 spaces in a competition, and judging from the racing here tonight, it's going to be very interesting to get one of those 12 seats.
Yeah, for sure.
Not going to be easy.
Everyone keep an eye out on our social media, Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram.
Is this a hot off the press?
A little bit, yeah. But
do we have
no
a
spoilers.
Sneak peek of something?
I'm just saying, keep an eye out.
Coming soon.
Yes.
Coming soon.
Very soon, actually.
Ooh, coming soon. It's like the
So-
old days in Globe. Coming soon.
Alright, so thanks everyone for viewing, commenting, commenting, coming out, racing, everybody. Thanks so much,
Yeah.
and we'll see you
Thanks
in
to
the
the
next
team.
event.
Dom, thanks for the opportunity to come and do the race commentary with you. Thanks
Oh,
to
yeah.
Gavin and Carissa for giving me the space and the chance. Next time I hope to be in the driver's seat. This is not my forte. Even though I was a teacher for 13 years, talking to crowds is not my thing. But
Yeah, same.
I'm very gracious and very thankful for the opportunity to represent the CRC team in this capacity, and maybe one day in the future I'll try to be my own racemate. Shout out to Ray. Try to be my own racemate and do this commentary one more time. So that, good night to the stream, to the listeners, to everybody in Barbados, for my Barbados
One more
peeps.
time.
One more time. I'm signing out here from the land of the Lone Star State.
Alright, everyone take care, have a safe night, and stay fast, right? Just believe. Get good. All of the
Get
things.
good. Get good. We missed that soundbite tonight, Gavin. Get good.
Yeah, for real. Alright, well, take care everyone.
Alrighty.